and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all doing very, very well and that your 2023 is going lovely. I'm filming this on the first day of 2023. Seems alright to me so far. Today's video is the books that I plan to read in the month of January. We've got a collection here of books that I have recently got, whether it be for Christmas, for my birthday, sort of on the run up to Christmas, or in December, which I suppose is the same as the run up to Christmas. Some books that have been on my shelves for a while and I've just thought, come on Lauren, let's get them read. A couple of books that I've already started, which I'm enjoying immensely, and then a book for my Patreon book club. I will start with the books that I've already started. So, for Christmas, I got Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. David got this for me. We bought this for David's mum, and when we were in Waterstones, I think there was only one copy in there, and I was like, I'd really like this. I think I'd really like this. This sounds really good. I wonder if I'd really like this. And then we gave it to David's mum for her birthday, which is very close to Christmas. When she unwrapped it, I was like, I was saying I'd probably really like that. I wonder if I'd like that. I think I would like that. And guess what? I got it. The drop-in of the hints worked. So I started this morning. I know it's been made into a TV series as well, hugely popular, and I think maybe I will get round to reading watching the TV series. I'm only 26 pages in. I read it while I was in the bath this morning, and yeah, so we're in 1946, and we're following I've forgotten her name, Claire Randall, there with her husband Frank. They're on a sort of like second honeymoon. They got married and spent a couple of days there, and then the war kicked off, and she went to work in a hospital and he went and fought, and they've now been reunited, and they're on this little like second honeymoon, and he's very into genealogy and mythology and things like that and looking into that, and now I know what happens is that somehow she gets taken back into 1743, where she meets, the first person she meets is actually her husband Frank's 6 times great-grandfather. I believe there's a bit of a romance. Now this is a whole series. I think the 9th book has just come out. So hopefully I'll really get into it. It's a big chunky thing, so I feel excited. Like when it was, as I said, it's the 1st of January today. When I woke up this morning and finished the book that I'd been reading, I was like, oh, what am I going to start? I'm going to start a big chunky thing that I'm really looking forward to. And I did quite a lot of groundwork in order to get this bought for me for Christmas. So yes, hopefully this is as good as I hope it is. And yeah, well, I mean, there's a whole lot of hope. There's a whole lot of hype around it, and nine books in the series so far. It's got to be worth something, isn't it? So there we go. And then just as I was setting up for this video, I began listening to The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. I have got this out. This is a book, I think David's dad gave me this. He got it while he was on holiday. You know, like when you go on holiday and they have books by like a little book selection. He read it and brought it home because he needed to finish it. And then I said, oh, I've never read that, but I've read quite a few of Kazuo Ishiguro's books and very much enjoyed them. So he gave this to me last year. I haven't got around to reading it, and then I saw on my Libby app when I was looking through what audiobooks I could listen to that they've got that on there, and it's read by Dominic West. And then also, just to link into further why I've wanted to read it, is that I've just read Tom Allen's autobiography, memoir, because it's up until a certain point, of his like childhood, and he was so he's a TV presenter and comedian from the UK, and he was sort of quite an unusual teenager. He was very into sort of like Victoriana and butlers and stuff like that, and he talks about Remains of the Day. Sorry, Minnie's just biting the Christmas tree. Minnie, very cheeky. So yeah, so he was talking about this book and said he read it a number of times and stuff like that. So and I think it was recently on Between the Covers as well, which another book has, 2 books in fact have been on Between the Covers recently, so excited to get more into this. But like I said, I've just started listening to that now. Then books that I got either for Christmas or for my birthday, and I've been sort of like harbouring because I read mainly Christmas books in December. I didn't really read that much at all. I think I was just a bit busy. But books that I got for Christmas, so that some of these will be appearing in my big massive book haul, which is actually going to be up next on Thursday, so look forward to that. The first book is a collection of essays called Body Language, which is edited by Nicole Chung and Matt Orteal. And this says here, writers on identity, physicality and making space for ourselves. And this was gifted to me by the lovely Jane Campbell for Christmas. I love an essay collection, I really do. And I sort of love dipping in and out of these things as the month goes by. I like to leave a bit of space in between the essays so that they can sort of bed in the same way as I read short stories actually. And this sounds amazing, so I'm very much looking forward to it. And yeah, some of the some of the titles of these essays, guys, sound very, very exciting. So, writing my truth as a deaf queer writer, when your body is the lesson, don't fear the feeding tube, view from the football field, or what happens when the game is over, surviving Karen medicine, what I did for the chance to have a baby someday, and this one, the small beauty of funeral sex. So there we go. Then for my birthday, David's mum got me Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. Celeste Ng is the writer of Little Fires Everywhere, and what was the other one of hers that I read? Everything I Never Told You, both of which I've read and enjoyed. Oh, this is unusual. Is it usual that you get a little ribbon bookmark in a fiction? I feel like I only ever see those in non-fiction, really. And this is following a 12-year-old girl called Bird Gardner. She lives a quiet existence with her... Oh, sorry. A 12-year-old boy, Bird Gardner, lives a quiet existence with his loving but broken father, a former linguist who now shelves books in Harvard's library. But he knows not to ask too many questions, stand out too much, stray too far. For a decade, their lives have been governed by laws written to preserve American culture in the wake of years of economic instability and violence. I'm a bit concerned Minnie's going to go and eat the tree again. To keep the peace and restore prosperity, the authorities are now allowed to relocate children of dissidents, especially those of Asian origin, and libraries have been forced to remove books seen as unpatriotic, including the works of Bird's mother, Margaret, a Chinese-American poet who left the family when he was 9 years old. She's down there, she's all right. So yeah, I think this sounds great, and like, I feel like Celeste Ng's got a really sort of quiet way of writing about big topics, and I'm looking forward to this immensely. I think one year, the first book I read of the year was Little Fires Everywhere. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that in January. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, between the covers, they were discussing this book, The Second Sight of Zachary Cloudesly by Sean Lusk, which is a debut. And when I did the Quick Book Reviews Christmas podcast, Philippa was kind enough to send me some gifts, and one of them being this, which was perfect timing because I'd literally just watched the episode of Between the Covers where they were discussing this, and I was like, oh, I would very much like to read that. So this is set in 1754, and we're following Zachary Cloudesly, who's been brought up in his father's workshop. It says he's grown up surrounded by strange and captivating clockwork automata. He's an enchanting child, beloved by his father, Abel, and the workmen who helped bring his father's creations to life. He is also endowed with an extraordinary gift. At the touch of a hand, Zachary can see into the hearts and minds of the people he meets. But soon a near-fatal accident will take Zachary away from his workshop and his family. His father will have to make a journey to Constantinople that he will never return from, and years later, only Zachary can find out what happened. And it says it's beautifully crafted historical mystery, which is what they were very much talking about during Between the Covers. And it transports the reader from 18th century London across Europe and finally into the bustling city of Constantinople. And these end papers are a beautiful map of Constantinople. So there we go, looking forward to reading that. And then two books I got for Christmas, two memoirs. This one I got from my friend Emma. This is Mallory Blackman's memoir, Just Sayin. Mallory Blackman is the author of the Noughts and Crosses series, amongst a whole host of works which I've very much enjoyed. And on the run-up to this book being released, she was on a lot of podcasts that I listened to, and I was just very hyped for this. And it's written in different sort of ways. There's poetry in here. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Her writing I always find wonderful, so I've no doubt that I will very much enjoy this. And then second memoir is How Not to Be Strong by Alex Scott. Alex Scott is a retired football player, and is now a sort of sports pundit and presenter, and was on Strictly Come Dancing, and I'm very fond of her. She had a tough upbringing and a sort of tough journey to get where she is. Being a woman of colour in sports is difficult. Being a woman of colour anywhere is difficult, but it being in the sports industry and getting the sort of like high profile presenting jobs that she has got has led to her being trolled and called out and all this sort of fucking bullshit from dickheads on the internet. And I'm really looking forward to reading more about her life. When she was on Strictly, she did very well. She got to the semi-finals, I think. Might have been Blackpool. I think she got to Blackpool. And when she was on there, they do a couple's choice dance, and at that point they have a sort of like little look into what their lives are like, and they sort of like thank somebody, and she thanked her mum and stuff like that, and sort of had alluded to this bad relationship with her father, and it goes more into depth than that here. So very much looking forward to reading this. And then another Christmas present from David's mum that I'd not heard of. This is The Shadows of Men by Abir Mukherjee, and this is a thriller sort of thing set in Calcutta in 1923, when a Hindu theologian theologian is found murdered in his home. The city is on the brink of an all-out religious war. Can officers of the Imperial Police Force, Captain Sam Wyndham and Sergeant Surendranath Banerjee, track down these responsible in time to stop the bloodbath? It says it begins in an atmospheric Calcutta and takes the detectives all the way to bustling Bombay. This fifth instalment in the Wyndham and Banerjee series begs the question, will this be the case that finally drives them apart? Can I read this if this is the fifth instalment, or do I need to have read the other 4? If you've read that, let me know. If you read the series, let me know. Then, another book from between the covers that was sent to me by the publisher. This is The Night Ship by Jess Kidd. Where's Naughty Girl? This video has been a whole host of just looking for that naughty girl, hasn't it? This is The Night Ship by Jess Kidd. I've previously really enjoyed Jess Kidd's books. Ooh. And this is set between 2 time zones, 1628 and 1989. And we're following 2 children. In 1628, we're following a young girl called Macon, who's on board a ship called the Batavia, the most impressive sea vessel of the age. During the long voyage, this curious and resourceful child must find her place in the busy ship, and she soon uncovers shadowy secrets above and below deck. As tensions spiral, the fate of the ship and all on board become increasingly uncertain. And then in 1989, we are following Gil, who is a boy who is mourning the death of his mother and is placed into the care of his grandfather, who is irritable and reclusive. Their house is a shack on a tiny fishing island off the Australian coast, notable only for its reefs and wrecked boats. This is no place for a child struggling with a dark past, and Gil's actions soon get him noticed by the wrong people. And again, on between the covers, this was very much enjoyed, so looking forward to that. And then one that I also received from the publisher is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. I think this is going to be the year I'm going to try and get into a bit of sort of like fantasy and epic fantasy, and this seems like quite a good place to start. It's a standalone book, and this is from the author of the Atlas 6, which is a series that's been coming out, and this is about witches. So it's set in New York City, and 2 rival witch families fight for the upper hand. It says the Antonova sisters are beautiful, cunning and ruthless, and their mother, known only as Baba Yaga, is the elusive supplier of premium intoxicants. Their adversaries, the influential Fedorov brothers, serve their crime boss brother, named Koshki the Deathless. His enterprise dominates the shadows of magical Manhattan. For 12 years, the families have maintained a fraught stalemate. Then everything is thrown into disarray. Bad blood carries them into the brink of disaster, even as fate draws together a brother and sister from either side. Yet their siblings can struggle for power, and internal conflicts could destroy each family from within. That is, if the enmity between the empires doesn't destroy both sides first. So this is out on the 6th of April this year, but I thought it sounded amazing. And the book itself looks amazing, particularly for a proof, because it's got like these illustrations and stuff within it, which you don't often see in books. So very much in books, in adult books. Might be a YA book. So yeah, those are the ones that I've got sort of like on the run up to Christmas, for Christmas, for my birthday. And then there's some that have been on my shelves, and I'm yet to, like I said, it's only the 1st of January today. I feel like I'm very small. It's only the 1st of January today, but there's going to be lots of like best books of the year videos that I'm getting my teeth into, and I've only seen one. Actually, let's start with that one. I've only seen a picture of someone's best books of the year, and that was Anna James. One of the books she included was When We Were Birds by Ayana Lloyd Banwo, which I got sent to me last year from the publisher, and I thought, well, that can go straight on the TBR. So this is, I'll read it to you, because I only saw the picture of it and was like, oh, I've got that, I will read that. Darwin is a down-on-his-luck gravedigger, newly arrived in the city of Port Angeles to seek his fortune, young and beautiful and lost. Estranged from his mother and the Rastafari faith she taught him, he is convinced that the father he never met is waiting for him somewhere amid these bustling streets. Meanwhile, in an old house on the hill where the city meets the rainforest, Yejide's mother is dying, and she leaves behind a legacy that now passes to Yejide, the power to speak to the dead. The women of Yejide's family are human but also not, descended from Corbo, the blackbirds that fly east at sunset, taking with them the souls of the dead. Darwin and Yejide each have something that the other needs. Their destinies are intertwined. They will find each other in the sprawling ancient cemetery at the heart of Port Angeles, where secrets lie buried and trouble awaits. So this sounds great. Rich with magic and wisdom, When We Were Birds is an exuberant, incantatory masterpiece that conjures and mesmerises on every line. Ayana Lloyd Banwo weaves an unforgettable story of loss and renewal, darkness and light, a triumphant reckoning with a grief that runs back generations, and a defiant, joyful affirmation of hope. God, that sounds very moving. So yeah, God, I'm glad I saw that picture now and picked that up. So there we go. Then I've got a book that was sent to me last year. This is a proof copy. This is out in January 2023. I'm not sure of the date, but this is Becky by Sarah May. And what has drawn me to this is that it says here, Succession meets Vanity Fair. Now, this time last year, David and I started watching Succession from the beginning. We started watching it on New Year's Day, and we had such a great time watching it. And I don't think the 4th series, there's been 3 series of it, it's definitely worth a watch. It's like a sort of like family news empire, and each of them, who's going to succeed when the father of the family eventually retires, and he's like in his 80s and doesn't look like he's going to retire anytime soon. And we loved watching it, and it's so awful. It's like, who do you hate least rather than who's your favourite character? And the 4th series of that, I think, is coming out in the spring, so we haven't got long to wait. But I feel like this could fill my sort of Succession-shaped hole that I had from last year, because this time last year we were watching Succession and having a lovely time. So, yeah, I mean, I know nothing more about it apart from it says Succession meets Vanity Fair. And it says, when it comes to my past, I enjoy being flexible with the truth. So there we go. Becky by Sarah May. Then I've got a few books which have been on my shelves for a while. Sugar by Bernice L. McFadden, and I'm drawn to this because I just love this cover so much. It makes me feel so happy. And this is about Sugar, who is young and confident with a swagger in her step, like her already. She arrives in the small southern town of Bigelow with the hopes of starting over, but soon Bigelow is alight with gossip and suspicion, and Sugar feels she can't hide from her past. Until that day, she meets Pearl, her next door neighbour. Over sweet potato pie, an unlikely, unpredictable friendship begins, transforming both women's lives and the life of an entire town. Sounds bloody great, don't it? So looking forward to that. Then I've got Wandering Souls by Celia Pinn. This is out on the 2nd of March this year. This is a proof copy. And this is, let me just get the blurb for this because I remember it. It sounds very sad, but very good. One night, not long after the last American troops leave Vietnam, siblings An, Than and Min flee their village and embark on a perilous boat journey to Hong Kong. Their parents and 4 younger siblings make the crossing in another vessel, but as weeks go by, it becomes clear that only one party has survived the voyage. An, Than and Min suddenly find themselves alone in the world without family or hope. They travel on, navigating refugee camps and resettlement centres until, by a twist of fate, they arrive in Thatcher's Britain. Here they must somehow build new lives with only each other to turn to, but will that be enough in a place that doesn't seem to want them? In this piercing debut, the siblings' faltering journey is deftly interwoven with the voice of their lost younger brother Deo, following them from a place between the living and the dead, and the records of an unknown researcher intent on gathering together the strands of their story. So yeah, it says, extraordinary and inventive, Wandering Souls paints a heart-wrenching portrait of a family in unimaginable adversity while exploring the power of stories to heal generational wounds. Sounds bloody great, don't it? But yeah, out in March 2023 by 4th Estate. Then I got a book, The Movement by Aisha Malik. I've read a few Aisha Malik books in the past. Oh, I bought this in any amount of books. When I was seeing Mercedes, I remember actually. I've read This Green and Pleasant Land and Sophia Khan Is Not Obliged. And I've also seen that she's written a retelling of Mansfield Park. This is called The Movement by Aisha Malik. And this is about Sarah Yavid. It says, everywhere Sarah goes, online or outside, everyone is shouting about something. Couldn't they all just shut up? One day she takes her own advice. At first, people don't understand her silence and are politely confused at best. But the last thing Sarah could anticipate is becoming the figurehead of a global movement that splits society in two. The silent movement, sparks outrage in its opposers. Global structures start to shift, and the lives of those closest to Sarah, as well as the strangers inspired by her act, begin to unravel. It's time for the world to reconsider what it means to have a voice. Sounds brilliant, doesn't it? And then again, oh, I think these might be out this year as well. No, these were both out last year. This was out on the 1st of December. This is A Down-Home Meal for These Difficult Times by Maren Haderno. And this has got, what drew me to this is that it's got a quote here from Britt Bennett. Witty and wistful, complex and heartbreaking, a thrilling debut. And I've loved both of Britt Bennett's books. I'm very, very excited to see what this is, considering she's blurbed it so well. An enterprising young man on the verge of losing his home in Addis Ababa pursues an improbable opportunity to turn his life around. A woman visiting her country of origin for the first time finds that an ordinary object opens up an unexpected, complex bridge between worlds. An intergenerational friendship forms between 2 refugees living in Iowa who have connections to Germany before the fall of the Berlin Wall. Kaleidoscopic, it's stories! Kaleidoscopic, powerful and illuminative, the stories in A Down-Home Meal for These Difficult Times expand our understanding of the essential and universal need for connection and the vital refuge of home. Sounds great. And then I've got American Fever, which came out on the 18th of August. And this is by Dur A. Aziz Amna.
It says here, on a year-long exchange program in rural Oregon, 16-year-old Hira must swap Kashmiri chai for volleyball practice and figure out why everyone around her seems to dislike Obama. This is a coming-of-age story. I'm very excited about it. A fierce and unforgettable narrator, Hira finds herself stuck between worlds. The experience is memorable for reasons both good and bad. A first kiss, new friends, racism, Islamophobia, homesickness. Her body seems to be reacting to the change of environment too, as Hira starts to feel increasingly unwell, until she begins coughing up blood and receives a diagnosis of tuberculosis, pushing her into quarantine and turning her new world upside down. Here we go. For fans of Valeria Luiselli and Mohin Hamid, The American Fever is a fresh new perspective on coming of age as a Pakistani Muslim in rural America. That sounds bloody good too. These all sound bloody good. And then lastly, the book that we are reading for Patreon Book Club. I pick a sort of theme every month, and the theme for January was a 2022 release. And actually, this one, but the other book that was on the blur on the vote was the Celestine book as well. So this one, but the Celestine book's in here too. So I mean, hopefully I'll get around to both of them. I would definitely get around to this. This is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Now, I've seen this appear on a lot of people's These Are the Best Books That I've Read This Year pictures, people that I don't watch the YouTube videos of, mainly celebrities. But I know there's a lot of hype around this. This is also an amazing, amazing front cover. It's set in the 80s, and two kids meet in a hospital in a gaming room in 1987. One is visiting her sister, the other is recovering from a car crash. The days and months are long there. Their love of video games becomes a shared world of joy, escape and fierce competition, but all too soon that time is over and fades from view. Then 8 years later, they see each other in a train station and sort of reconnect. It says, this is the story of the perfect world Sadie and Sam build, the imperfect world they live in, and everything that comes after success: money, fame, duplicity and tragedy. I'm very excited. It says, it takes us on a dazzling imaginative quest as it examines the nature of identity, creativity, disability, failure, the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved and to love. I can't wait to read that. I hope it's as good as it sounds. I'm very, very excited about it. So, those are the books that I have to read in January. There's quite a few, wouldn't you say? Let me know if you have read any of these books. Let me know what your reading plans are for 2023. There will be a whole video coming up about my sort of reading plans and channel plans and all of that gear. I bloody love January. I know a lot of people don't, but I really, really like sort of like fresh starts and new lists and reading stuff and having a lovely time and making plans. So hopefully you feel like that too. If you don't, I know January can be a very tough time for people, so hope you're all right. And yeah, Happy New Year. And I'll see you all again on Thursday, as I said, for the big massive book haul of all the books I got for Christmas and on the run up to. So